Hi guys, whenever government bring out a new policy that benefits consumers, workers or the general public, businesses, usually small or medium-sized ones, will always have the same response. It can't be done, it's too expensive, it will drive us out of the market. They whinge and complain hoping that the government will U-turn, and depending on the size of their lobby, the government will or will not. So Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, wants to basically improve the quality of housing for renters by making them more energy efficient. This would save those who rent their homes huge amounts of money every year, which is important during a cost of living crisis. The BBC reporter here asked, but what about the landlords? And Ed had a pretty good comeback. Have a listen.
Landlords facing, I think you use the figure of £6,000 to keep up with this new legislation. They will pass that directly on to their tenants.
Well, that wasn't the experience last time when we raised standards, Charlie. And obviously that is something we looked at very carefully in thinking about this policy. I think it's quite significant that we have the backing of organisations that represent renters in putting forward this policy. Lots of landlords have said in the past in surveys that they would meet higher standards through their own savings. So, and also local markets work in different ways. And as I said, half of landlords already meet these standards. So I don't think it will be as simple as that. And as I say, we have the backing of renters for these proposals.
OK, a little early this morning, we spoke to Ben Beadley, who's Chief Executive of the National Residential Landlords Association, rather long title, but he gave us a couple of numbers. He said that he thought the cost of what you're proposing would be £20 billion for the sector. He said that there was no way it could be done in any practical sense in less than 10 years. And he was very clear that the costs, in the absence of substantial government, a proportion of that, substantial proportion of that, not smaller grants being made by the government, the costs would be passed on, rents would be higher. He made those points, 3 points, very clearly.
I'm bound to say, Charlie, he would say that, wouldn't he? I mean, you know, he's representing landlords. Half of landlords do a good job and have these standards. Half of them don't. It's his job to lobby for landlords. But this government isn't about lobbying. It's about doing the right thing for the country. And
there you have it. That's what it should always be about, doing the right thing for the country. Now, so let's have a look at this. If the government said what we're going to do is increase standards, the lobby that represents landlords is saying, oh, no, well, this is going to drive up prices. Or drive up rents. It's potentially true. It's potentially the case that it will drive up rents in some cases. But renters are paying, in many cases, the bills, higher bills, because of inefficient housing. If houses are more efficient, this will save renters money. Now, as was pointed out, some landlords will decide to up the rent. But they'll have to work within the market. Because if they charge a rent that's above the market rate, they're not going to get anyone into those properties. That's the law of the market. But there's also an advantage here for landlords. There's an advantage, of course, for tenants. They'll end up paying smaller energy bills. But there's also an advantage here for landlords. If they improve the quality of their housing, they're going to be able to charge more rent. They're going to be able to sell the benefits of an energy efficient home. They could say, this is the new standard. I'm following the standard. So they can present this in an attractive way to a potential tenant. As opposed to the guy down the street who's resisting this and has an energy inefficient home. So this is a wonderful policy. It will increase the quality of housing, make them more efficient. It will drive down energy prices for the renters. And at the same time, it will improve the quality of housing where landlords will be able to charge more because of the better quality of housing. So it's a win-win situation. And of course, the environment benefits because there's less energy waste. Now, of course, with any new policy, be it the minimum wage or increased working standards or environmental standards, small and medium-sized businesses like landlords will resist. But the government has to stand its ground. It has to say this has to go ahead. We have to dismiss most of the figures that are presented by these lobbies because they cook the books, because they're pushing an idea that they don't want to pay more. for anything. So they will resist and resist and resist, and we've seen it before. But the government have to be strong. They have to push back. And the response has to be, we have to think of the good of the country. We have to think of renters who are in a difficult position at the moment. They're paying higher rents and they're paying higher energy bills. So they need some sort of support. And having improved standards in housing is at least the minimum. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.